Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode of Movie Crusaders Chat About. My name is Sean Wasserkrug, with me as always is Brian Michaels. And we got plenty to talk about today. What's funny is I think it was, about 3-4 days ago, I was like, hey, I'm on vacation, but there's like nothing to talk about. And then the world was like, hey, you know what? Here you go. We're going to drop a ton of trailers. We're going to drop some really big movie news that you and I actually care about. And then, of course, the finale for X-Men 97, which we've been following the entire time, which I think we pretty much had to talk about like the last 3 episodes on this episode. So
yeah, I think we were kind of doing it every time we had 1 or 2 episodes to cover, but then like we actually decided on the last show because I think only one of them in the area. We're like, we'll just wait till they're all done.
Yeah, last episode that we shot basically was, I believe, the Storm Xavier episode. So we literally this last 3 episode story arc is what we got to talk about, which is perfect because it was a 3-arc story. But we're going to talk into trailers first. And of course, in terms of movies, Fall Guy and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Actually, scratch that. We're going to start with that first. You guys saw my review for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's on the channel right now. I did not get to hear Brian's thoughts on it. I saw your score, but I did not get to hear your thoughts on it. So we're actually going to deviate from what we were planning because we had not had our little discussion. So for anyone who has not seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes yet, this may go spoiler. So I'll throw up a spoiler tag for it right now, just in case. But yeah, what were your thoughts on Kingdom?
I enjoyed Kingdom quite a bit, actually. I don't think I put it right at the same. I put it below the previous trilogy, I think. At least below 2 of them, because Rise I thought was good, but
I put it equal to Rise because I thought Rise was a good starting off point, and then Dawn and War are like
which maybe this one will do the same thing. It'll be a great starting off point because you got to introduce new characters, all that kind of thing. Obviously the visuals are great, the special effects. You really just believed. I never for a second sat there thinking, oh, I'm looking at these CGI apes. Everything just totally believable, looks beautiful. The cinematography is great, the score is great, all that kind of stuff. For me, the story was all right. I'm going to go the opposite of what most people are saying about this movie. I kind of wish there was more humans. When I'm just watching nothing but apes talking to each other for the entire movie, for the most part, I kind of feel like I'm just watching an animated film, and it's like I'm watching Lion King or some shit.
That'll be later this year.
I would have liked to have seen. Oh, at least it's an original story. I'll give Mufasa that. Just saying.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish there was a little more humans in the story, especially the first like half hour, 45 minutes is really slow, which I understand. You're kind of getting introduced, you're being developed in this world, kind of understanding how things are now. And I get that. But at the same time, you're like, okay, let's move along with the story. I don't need to watch, a half an hour on catching a bird. Which is the other thing. This movie had a weird obsession with the birds, the hawks, eagles, whatever they were.
Well, that was the clan's like religion kind of thing.
Yeah, I know, but they wanted just to be so impressed by this thing. Like when the eagle showed back up, they wanted to be like, oh, it's this big moment. And I was like, okay, a bird fucking showed up. And then I realized, okay, is this all going to build to something? And then it's all that bird stuff was just so at the last scene, the birds could flock and knock the dude off. I'm like, really? You spent that much time on eagles because of this? It seemed a little silly to me.
That's not at all what that was, but I'll let it slide.
William H. Macy kind of wasted. I liked him in this movie, but obviously, well, you said spoiler. They kill him off, and I'm like, I kind of would have liked to see him last a little bit longer.
Not gonna lie, I honestly thought he was Noah's father because Noah's father kind of looked like William H. Macy a little bit right here. I was like, oh, here's William H. Macy's character. I was like, oh, he didn't last long at all. And then I was like, oh no, he's a human. Oh, he didn't last long at all.
Yeah. And then we get to the ending, which obviously is setting up more future stuff, which apparently with more humans, things like that. But at the same time, as much as I want to see more humans, I kind of feel like now we're just kind of getting back into what the previous movies were, and it's like the whole point was to be this new world and how it is now, where I thought the humans are going to be more like the more primitive, like they were like
the OG series.
Yeah. But I mean, these are all mostly nitpicks. I enjoyed the movie. I didn't love the movie, but that's kind of where I expected to be going in.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously have my review is non-spoiler, so I couldn't really go into anything spoiler. And even said I had nitpicks, but I can't say them because of spoiler reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of disagree with the human aspect that you had, because I didn't really give a shit about the humans that we did get. William H. Macy kind of played the same character he always plays in every movie. He's either like snuck up, thinks he's the smartest person in the room, or he's Frank from Shameless.
But I did like that he was kind of like, you know, the ape sympathizer. He's like, I've decided, you know, this is the new world I have to live in, so I have to, you know, submit to them and do what they want to do. And the fact that they had this person, they had a human helping them to read books and create technology, like create those shock sticks, whatever you call it, staffs. I kind of like. I thought that was kind of an interesting take on it. And if it had more stuff like that, I thought it would be interesting.
Yeah, but my main issue with the movie was May, because I was just like, she seemed a little too young to be so fucking smart at everything. And I was just like, how the fuck?
And you exactly where in the bunker to find this exact little.
Exactly. It's like you didn't live in that bunker. You don't know. Like, how do you know the generations of years ago? I thought all the humans got dumber. Now, granted, they could be just like they were in Dawn, where their genes didn't get affected by the new virus, so their intellect stayed the same. But still, we're talking about 200 years later. That's like us talking shit about the world today because, oh, back in 1600s, oh, this is what happened and we got to get it back. It's like, no, don't act like you know everything that's going on. Like, and then it was just like at the very beginning of the movie, I'm like, so is she basically pretending to be undercover during this? Like, is she pretending to be basic because she thinks Noah knows shit? Because Noah don't know shit. So why does she attach herself to Noah? Outside of maybe he was just trying to find his clan, and she knew that he could get him in, but she didn't know that. She could have easily had followed Silva, the gorilla, and all them, and gotten in there on her own. She didn't have to attach to Raka or Noah throughout the film. So it was just kind of like, nothing against the actress. She's fine in the film. But it was the character of May where I was just like, are you Rey Skywalker in this? Like I feel like you just went like in a brief boom. I can talk and I can do that and I know everything.
Well, I mean, I get the fact that she was trying to hide that fact, that she was trying
to. How does she know that the bunker was destroyed?
And
how do you know that back entrance?
Well, I think that the other people in this other bunker, wherever they are, knew this bunker existed, knew this other bunker was there, and they probably had scouted it out and seen that it still has not been entered into, so they know that what they need is inside there. So I had no problem with that. I also didn't have a problem with her siding up with Noah and Raka, because it's like, you know, they're being, you know, they were treating her nicely. They clearly were not enemies. She could use some allies to help her get into this place, and they're the only ones that had shown any kind of, you know, care towards her. So I get that, but I do think that she was way too. They played it off as way too smart. How she knew everything, knew exactly where to go, knew what to do, where to find everything. That was a bit much. I agree.
I think it was more those points, and then it bled back to that shit that I was just kind of like, this isn't working with me. But I thought, just like you, everything looked great. I actually really enjoyed the character of Noah. I was a little worried at first if I was going to really grab onto his character, but I did. I thought, once again, Kevin Durand, MVP this year. He was fantastic in Abigail, and he was a great Proximus Caesar. I wasn't sure because all we kept seeing was him in the chairs going, "What a wonderful day!" But like that conversation, like at the table, when they're all talking, so I was like, oh right, they're actually letting Kevin like do stuff with this character. I actually was really, really happy with Kevin Durand.
It makes me even more happy that his character was like not really a bad guy in Abigail.
He wasn't. It was Silva.
He's kind of the dumb, friendly one, and it's like I kind of like that, because like otherwise you'd just be, you know, because he almost always plays villainous roles. So this year he got to show both sides.
Well, what I was talking about with Kimberly when we went and saw it, because she actually surprised me and took me to IMAX. So I got to see my first IMAX movie in like 8 years. I was like, Proximus, I guess, would technically be bad in terms of he's kind of enslaving all the gorillas and trying to break into the vault. But you don't actually outright see him do anything bad until the end when he tries to kill Noah. Like, he's really not. He's just a guy who wants, or he's a gorilla who, or not gorilla. He's an ape who wants to get into the vault so that way he can protect his kind and stuff like that. And yes, his aspirations are to be the king and stuff like that. But it was mainly Silva was the bad guy. Silva was the one who killed Noah's parents. Silva's the one who's kind of doing all this shit. But he's loyal. He's Koba in like the first half of Dawn and into Rise. Like, he's not trying to overtake Caesar. Now, I do say this though. They missed out on a perfect opportunity, which you probably would have rolled your eyes at. But at the end, when they're fighting, and right before Proximus falls, no, Noah should have said, "You are no Caesar," before he falls. Because like right at that moment when he's like, "I am your king, I am blah blah blah," no, before Noah started doing the woo, woo kind of thing, he put him like, "You are no Caesar," and then he rises up, showing that like he is like the Caesar of the story. I was like, it was such a missed opportunity line. I was just like, are we not going to say it? Are we really? We're not going to say it. It was like oh god, I can't remember what movie it was where you and I were like,
I feel like Noah didn't really know enough about Caesar. He's like Caesar is kind of this.
No, but Raka did a good enough job kind of leading him up the way to it through the whole time. Because like there was points when like he had first got there where he was like, he's no Caesar. Like he that's
well, his name is Proxy Caesar. So I mean,
yeah,
he's clearly trying to stand in as a Caesar.
Oh, I get it, which is why that line would have hit extra more. I get that it's a I wouldn't call it a cliche line, but it's a line we probably would have seen a lot of times. But I feel like it fit in this moment.
I don't think I would have rolled my eyes because I think I would have just expected it, honestly.
Yeah,
same as you. I kind of assumed something like that.
But I'm curious to see where they go with it, because like I said, the movie literally ends with space and satellites and stuff. So I'm real interested in seeing where it's going, because Noah looks very more focused on, I can see the sky, I can see planets, I can see all this. So where's his mindset going? Whereas like the humans are all going to be able to talk to people, so they can, reconvene and grow, further. But Noah's aspirations it seems a lot bigger than that.
Well, I feel like I'm curious to see where this goes as well. Mostly because it's like, do they want us to root for the humans? Because
the humans aren't likable in this movie.
Because the humans, I mean, May turns out to be basically Proximus was right in this.
To
paraphrase Magneto.
Right. She tried to kill Noah twice.
As soon as she gets a chance, she wants to take everything. She wants to kill them. She wants to get things back to the other humans so they can come kill them and try to get back to the top of the food chain, the totem pole, as it were. So it's like, and then you go back and we briefly meet these other people in the other bunker, and it's like, I hope they don't want us to root for them, because obviously Noah and these people are the ones we actually care about.
Yeah,
and so we're not going to side with the humans.
I never felt at all in this way that they wanted us to root for the humans. Like especially because she was like willing to kill him and his whole family just to escape, and then she had a gun on her when they were talking later in the film, which I get to a point, but at the end of the movie, I was like, I don't like. If anything, it's going to be like a thing where we get to like the third movie and we're in the final big battle, and it's like, oh, what's going to happen? Is Noah going to kill May, or is May going to kill Noah? What are we going to do? Because now we got two leaders at this point. Because I'm sure May will, it's a facto, become the leader of the humans.
See, I don't know about that. I feel like May was, I mean, she'll be a major character but I don't think she's going to be a leader. I think she was sent out to do this mission, this scout. I think we're going to meet other higher ups and things that are more.
Yeah, but May was the only one that did what she did. She infiltrated. She took everyone out.
I think she will be a major character, because obviously she has this, we don't know how much of it is fake, this connection with Noah and them, and these conflicted feelings about, how she had to betray him, things like that. So she'll definitely be a major character. I just don't think she'll be a leader.
Another little nitpick I had is, how the hell did Proximus know that they were in the vault? Like when they opened the vault, he had his entire tribe and his mother ready for the doors to open. I mean, because at first I was thinking it was going to be was it Anaya? His buddy, because he didn't go right away. But I was like, well, no, because he didn't know what was going on. He just said that he needed them to climb, and which clearly he wasn't the case. So it was like, because it could have been one thing, because my girlfriend was like, well, maybe they heard the door opening, and that's what drew him there. But I was like, no, he had the entire clan. Like, he was ready.
But even way earlier, I mean, when she fires up that generator and that thing's making noise, everything's powering up. We don't know how much noise it made, how much traveled outside there. If there's lights outside that came on, we don't know, that kind of thing. And then on top of that, it could just be, I mean, there's hundreds of people and apes. I mean, well, not people, but apes and things just sleeping outside. One of them could have very easily been awake and been like, hey, where are they going? And followed them. And
I feel like there needed to be a scene. There needed to be a scene in between.
I'll tell you, this movie did not need to be longer. Did not need to be longer, I'll tell you that.
It was fine. War and Dawn were just as long. But yeah, it was definitely better than I enjoyed it. Yeah, better than I expected. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But yeah, moving on. We'll go now back on track with the story. I just remembered that I hadn't talked to Brian about this at all. Yeah, so now we're gonna go trailers. We got a R-rated comedy trailer going to Prime, right? It's Prime. Prime Video.
Yes.
Yeah. Starring two performers that we enjoy, Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell. It's called You're Cordially Invited. I think Brian and I were both in agreement. I think we both watched the trailer and we were both kind of like meh until it showed that it was an R-rated film, and we're like, okay.
Basically, it looked like just some forgettable, stupid little comedy. And then this is shallow of me until Will Ferrell dropped the F-bomb. And I'm like, okay, now I'm interested. And that may be but it told me that this is not going to be just a standard. It's going to be able to like just unleash, have a different kind of comedy, a different kind of fun. Now, Reese Witherspoon is probably not going to be going, hard R, comedy.
I don't know. Like, what got me was when she fired right back at him. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
But I that definitely made me more interested than I previously was. So
yeah, and basically the general plot that we got is that looks like Will Ferrell's daughter is getting married, Reese Witherspoon's daughter's getting married. They're both going to this hotel or resort or whatever to do the wedding, and it looks like they got double booked. So it looks like they're either having to coexist or ruin the other one's wedding. It looks like a mixture of both. Kind of thing, and that's what this is. It's R-rated shenanigans wedding with Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. Outside of Jack McBrayer, I don't think I spotted anyone clear enough for rest of the cast.
The one girl is from the Will Ferrell's daughter.
Isn't that Gwendolyn
and Geraldine Viswan?
Geraldine. Yeah. Blockers. She's on that TBS comedy with Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe, Miracle
Broken
Workers.
Hearts. Was that her?
She was in Broken Hearts Gallery. She was in Drive Away Dolls earlier this year, and then she's on Miracle Workers with Buscemi and Radcliffe. So she's
the only other name I recognize in the cast is Jimmy Tatro, and he's like sixth down. So maybe he's one of the grooms. I don't know.
He could be, but yeah, interesting. We'll check it out. Honestly, it's probably going to be right there with Ricky Stenicki, where there are funny aspects of it, but it's just fine kind of thing. Which there's nothing wrong.
Kind of movie that probably should have gone straight to Prime. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it being just fine, but
no.
Yeah, I'm happy to see Reese Witherspoon back and doing comedy stuff. I mean, I feel like I haven't seen Reese Witherspoon forever, and that's just because I don't watch the morning show. I know she just did a movie last year. It was like a Netflix like rom-com or something with like Ashton Kutcher, but I heard that was not good.
It wasn't horrible. It was just forgettable.
Yeah. But next, trailer that we weren't quite expecting was Dune Prophecy, HBO Max's Dune show, which I remember Brian sent me a message yesterday about it. He goes, oh yeah, Dune Prophecy drops. And I was like, they fucking started the third movie already? Like, he's like, no, the TV show. I was like, oh, I totally forgot that they were doing that. So Dune Prophecy apparently takes place 10,000 years before the Dune films, which I'm like, okay. I'm kind of sick of these prequel series. Nothing against like House of the Dragon, which we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. Like that one, and like even like Kingdom of Planet of the Apes is into the future, but like these 10,000 years stories.
It's like we want to be connected to the movies because we want to be in the same universe and get viewers, but we can't mess with the movie storyline, so we have to go way back.
I mean, and we're even getting that with Star Wars here, but we've been asking for Star Wars. Like the Acolyte is what, 1,000 years or something. Rings of Power is like 1,000 or so years back, and so it's like, but we've been asking for Star Wars, so I'm not mad at the Star Wars side of things. We've been asking for like a Knights of the Old Republic kind of movie, but with Dune, I mean, it just looks like they're trying to do their best Game of Thrones with Dune aesthetic. I mean, I was happy to see Mark Strong, but I don't really care about the Bene Gesserit or Bene Gesserit, however you say it.
I don't really care about this, and basically the whole thing, it seems to be kind of concentrating on the I guess I call witches. I guess
the Bene Gesserit.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah,
this coven of witches, and basically how they go out and they are basically supposed to go and help all the different houses and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I watched this trailer, and you already know how I'm lukewarm on Dune. And so I watched this, and it definitely has the look of Dune, definitely has the feel of Dune, but it's like I have no interest at all in this show. I mean, if they release a second trailer that gets my interest, great, but as of now, I don't even plan to watch this thing.
I love the Dune films. Well, I love the second one. The first one I think is good. But yeah, I watched this, and even like I said, as a Dune fan, I was just kind of like, is this even important? Like, is this important to the main story?
This is just cash
Like,
in.
watch them find some way to connect to the third film, so it is important. But right now, I mean, like, I'll wait until word of mouth. I'll wait and see if there's anything, like I said, a second trailer, see if it catches my eye. But this didn't really. As I was watching it, like, I was like halfway through the trailer, I was like, "Is this really needed? I don't think this is needed. I don't think this. Like, can we just stick to the movies and that's it? Because I don't really care about 10,000 years ago before Paul. Like, there's just no point to that to me. But yeah, that'll be. Did they say the fall?
It says fall. It didn't give a date. Just fall. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I'm not really super stoked for it at all by any means. It looked good, but once again, it's Dune. It's HBO. They're gonna put the money behind it. So I mean, I'm not afraid 1 second this movie's gonna look like crap. But I'm happy to see Mark Strong. I'm always happy to see him. But how big is he in the film? That's what I want, or in the show. That's the important thing. Mm-hmm. Next, we got a story trailer for A Quiet Place Day One. Now, Brian has not seen this yet. Brian doesn't want to see it, so he's not going to have much input to this.
I believe what I told you is I'm not actively avoiding it, but I mean, when it'll probably play in a theater before I see something, fine. But I'm not in a rush to go watch it because I'm already going to see this movie.
Yeah, but Brian doesn't have any input to this he can give. Yeah. We definitely actually have talking in this. Finally, we got to actually hear Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got to see them talk, interact with each other in the story. It was more of just the stuff that we like from A Quiet Place. It's definitely more interesting. It adds more layers to the first trailer that we got. There's not much there as a story. It's just more or less like, oh shit, these aliens showed up.
That's all I wanted from the day one.
Yeah, it's like, how are we going to survive? There's not like it's a story in terms of we actually had the two main characters actually talk to each other finally. Same thing with, I think, like a couple more shots of Jaimin Hansu in this. Some cool visuals with the did they ever give the aliens a name? I don't know if they did.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Yeah, more cool shots of the aliens. So I mean, it was definitely a positive trailer. It didn't necessarily like move the needle any further because I mean, it's Quiet Place. We're already there. Like, it was just more like, okay, cool. We're getting some conversation for the characters because part of me was wondering from the first trailer, was like, is Lupita a mute? Like,
I thought that too. I thought maybe she was deaf and mute.
Yeah,
from the way the first trailer was played out, but apparently not.
Full on normal person in this. And then Joseph Quinn is Joseph Quinn, except with I believe a British accent because he is
which
British.
He is.
Yeah, which he is British. So we actually get Joseph Quinn as Joseph Quinn in this movie. But yeah, solid trailer. Brian will catch it at some point because he's always at the movies, so he'll see it eventually. He just
breaking news for our next chat about new Bad Boys final trailer just dropped. So.
But do we want to watch it though?
I'm sure we will. Let's be honest.
All right. Next, back to the TV show side of things. We got I'm assuming a final trailer for House of the Dragon and our first teaser trailer for Rings of Power. Now, the reason why I brought them both in together is because Brian and I have mostly been talking about these shows together because
everyone's been talking about the shows together. Yeah.
I was like, they got released together, which was the worst fucking choice for Amazon Prime is to release Rings of Power side by side with House of the Dragon because all people are going to do is compare them. And Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings are not the same thing. They are PG and fucking R. Like, they are two separate things. So naturally, people are going to flock to House of Dragon more or be more attached to the House of the Dragon more. A, because they got fucking dragons too. But they got sex and violence and gore and all this shit. And Lord of the Rings is Lord of the Rings, which I love, but the show didn't really move the needle for us when we watched it. I think we were both like fine with it, but didn't like love it. And House of the Dragon, we both thoroughly enjoyed. They're being smart now. They finally separated them. It didn't help that they released their trailers both on the same fucking day. But
my guess is I don't remember which came from. I mean, somebody released theirs and the other ones decided.
Rings of Power released theirs first, and House of Dragon dropped theirs like 40 minutes later.
Well, I think this is because
House of the Dragon though did drop a teaser like a couple months back though, so technically House of Dragon started first.
The thing is, this week they're having their TV upfronts, whatever they call them, where they kind of preview all the upcoming slate for all their sponsors and advertise things like that. And that's why there's so many new trailers on for both TV shows and Amazon movies, things like that, all dropped at this time. So I think it was just kind of like the nature of the beast, where like we both had to announce our shows, and here you go.
But yeah,
but the same day they couldn't have separated by a day at least.
Yeah, but at least they're being smart. because House of the Dragon's dropping in June. Rings of Power is not till end of August. So House of the Dragon will be done before.
I assume it's like 10 episodes, I assume, yeah.
Yeah. I think both look good. Obviously, they're both gonna look good. I mean, like I said, the budget.
I feel like both trailers looked good. I feel both trailers told me nothing, which is I'm okay with.
Yeah, that's
but at the same time, I'm kind of like, might as well have not even seen a trailer then, because it's just like, oh, here's some more imagery that looks just like the first season, and that's fine because I liked both the first seasons. Obviously, House of the Dragon more, but I'm gonna watch them, and it's like, I think if you're gonna drop a trailer, I think at least give me a little more story so I know where the season's going. I mean, without spoiling things, of course.
Well, I mean, I think
I felt like neither one really did.
Rings of Power is Saruman's rise. I mean, or Sauron's rise. He looks different than he did when we saw him at the end of the first season. Now he looks like a fucking elf. Where he looked like Aragorn in season 1. Now he looks like an elf in season 2. Or was that guy not Sauron? That guy was Sauron, right?
Honestly, I need to rewatch it before I see the new season because I don't remember much of it.
Didn't Galadriel find out that he was Sauron, or like I thought that was the whole final
something
episode.
like that? Yeah.
Yeah, but now he looks like a fucking elf with the long blonde hair, and he was the Aragorn character in season 1. I didn't see they're not called hobbits, but I didn't see them in the trailer. I didn't see Gandalf, which I still kind of I didn't see them in the trailer. They could have been a blink and you miss it shot.
I don't remember seeing them, but honestly I watched it 3-4 days ago. I don't remember much of the trailer at all. So.
Exactly. But like I said, it looked good. I mean, hell, they spent like $5 million an episode on that series. So I mean, it's not going to look like shit. Let's just put it that way. House of the Dragon. I'm just ready for this. I'm ready for House of the Dragon to come back out. I love the cast. I obviously more dragons. I'm just ready for this to go, and it just looks like, once again, all out war. That's what it looks like, and I'm for it. The way it's going, I'm gonna do my best to try to go back and rewatch both of these, if not most of it. At least watch like the last couple episodes, so my brain's like kind of back in the mindset before it comes out. Same thing with like The Boys before that comes out in June as well, which I still refuse to watch that trailer. I've not watched the trailer for The Boys season 4.
Me neither. No.
And I don't plan on it. But yeah, so both of those came out. Like I said, they both look good. We'll be discussing them. We won't be doing separate episodes about them like we did, when those both came out, which I think was also with She-Hulk. We'll probably just talk about them on here as we're doing right now. And then the last trailer is one of Brian's most anticipated films of the year. I wasn't expecting a 4-minute long trailer for it that we got. But we got the long-ass trailer for Wicked. Wasn't this supposed to be in 2 parts?
It is in 2 parts.
Okay, well, because they didn't advertise it like it was part 1 or part 2. They just advertised it as fucking Wicked. So
I'm just happy that they advertised it as a musical.
So was this a trailer?
Because the first trailer was totally hiding that fact. And this one, at least, they're like, okay, this is a full-out musical. So you're not going to have what you had with Les Mis and you had with Into the Woods, where people show up for the movie, they're like,
and Mean Girls.
And the Mean Girls, yeah.
So I feel like this trailer had to have been for both movies.
I feel like it wasn't for both movies. There's things. Now, I've never seen the full stage musical. I've listened to it, but I've never gone and seen it. And just from what I know of the story, I'm fairly certain there was things in there from both parts. I don't quote me on that because I don't know for sure. But and the fact they didn't advertise part 1, but I do know for sure it is still being released as 2 separate movies, which I feel is a mistake. I feel like I don't think it's a movie that needs 2 parts. I think you could tell it in one movie, even if it has to be a 2-hour, 45-minute, 3-hour movie. I don't know. But I don't like that they're breaking it into 2 parts. But they are.
And I was going to ask that, but you said you'd never seen the whole play, so that's not my answer is going to fall dead on the water. Because I was going to ask, does that go into the Wizard of Oz? Like, is Wizard of Oz part of Wicked, or is it like a separate story? Like, here's Wicked, and then
no, Wizard of Oz is not in this. This is kind of the prequel to Wizard of Oz, where you see basically how the Elphaba became.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Was like, I was watching this trailer, I was like, well, fuck, if this isn't both movies, then is the second one the Wizard of Oz then? Because I feel like if this is all in the first film, I feel like they pretty much have do it.
No, there's no Wizard of Oz. I mean, well, the Wizard of Oz is in there.
Dorothy and the Cowardly Lion.
But Dorothy and that whole story is not in any part of this. It's just like ends before that starts.
And that's my problem with these kinds of movies. Now, granted, Wicked's different. Wicked's a play, Broadway show. Like they made this while. This isn't like Maleficent and Joker and stuff where it's like, oh wait, let's go back and see how the villain came to be. Because here's my problem with this whole trailer, which looks gorgeous by the way, and I'm sure. Oh God, what's the lead?
You just made me play kind of it.
Cynthia Erivo.
Yes, Cynthia Erivo. Thank you.
She's gonna blow us out of the park. She looks fantastic. I'm already excited because I already was a fan of her from Bad Times at the El Royale. So I'm excited to see what she does with this. But this is gonna do the one thing that I hate. It's like, okay, cool. So you're gonna make us fully cheer for her and sympathize with her and stuff like this. By the end of the movie, we're gonna be like, oh man, the bad or the Wicked Witch of the West was really not that bad after all along. And then you go back and want to watch Wizard of Oz, you're like, fuck you, Dorothy. Yeah,
Which I'm fine with. I've never been a huge fan of Wizard of Oz anyway.
Well, neither am I. But I'm just saying, it's like with Maleficent. It's like, oh, Maleficent wasn't bad. She was just mistreated and stuff. And then it's like, well, now you're gonna watch this blonde child, this blonde baby, grow up and then kill her when she was a dragon. It's just like, I don't. This is my problem with the villain stories. It's like you can't fully same thing with Cruella. With like Emma Stone, like they did a good job making you like her. It's like, yeah, but you're still gonna try to kill 101 puppies at the end of the day. Like, what the fuck? What's wrong here? And with this, you're full on. This trailer's full on showing that Wicked Witch of the West is completely mistreated and kind of, oh my god, what's the word? I'm blanking on the word. Not evil. She's perpetrated as evil by the wizard. Like the wizard's the bad guy and all this. Like that's the way the trailer was portraying, is that she was framed is the word I'm looking for all this crap. And so when it gets to the actual Wizard of Oz movie, it's like, but you guys are gonna so Dorothy kills the good guy of the story? Because you kind of making it seem like,
well, I think that
Dorothy's drinking the Kool-Aid.
She is still doing bad and evil things. So when you kill her, she's killing somebody who's doing evil things. Now the question is, but now we sympathize with her because how she became that way.
Yeah, but I mean,
the problem is it's not like Star Wars where you see why someone became Darth Vader, but at the end he gets to be redeemed. But obviously that doesn't happen with these other characters.
No, because at the end of the story, she's still going to get wet and melt. Like that's the end all be all.
That's a whole different movie that you watched.
Doesn't she get water poured on her?
No, never mind. It was just the way you phrased it.
Okay, I was like, did I not remember the ending of the Wizard of Oz?
My dirty mom, don't mind me.
World. Oh, I know where you're going with it, but man, I'm going, is that not how it ended? but the way this trailer came off is that like, oh, everyone's in on it. She's the scapegoat. She's all this. It's like, well, fuck. Then that just means like Dorothy and everyone drinks the Kool-Aid, and she's like, it's like if Joker took over Gotham. And everyone believed that Batman was the villain, like at the end of the Dark Knight, and then you ended up killing Batman at the end. And it's like, but Batman wasn't the bad guy. Like Gotham's the bad guy. Is Oz the bad guy at the end of this? Like, because that's how this trailer portrayed it. Like, maybe you didn't feel that way as much as I did.
I feel like movies like this and even like Joker and things like that are kind of made in this kind of almost a what if scenario. It's like, okay, here's a story, but we're going to tell a story of, what if, this is why she became evil and she maybe wasn't bad all the way through. And it's not really supposed to be a prequel because it's not, the same universe or whatever, but it's kind of like, let's write a backstory that wasn't there before. So yes, I mean, I think now you will watch Wizard of Oz and think of it differently, but it's not, I don't know. I'm having trouble.
Like I said, like but like the whole time watching it, like that's just what I'm feeling. Is like, well, that totally got. Not that I go back and rewatch Wizard of Oz ever, but it's just gonna make me look back and think of that movie. It's like, wow, that's kind of fucked up. But sticking to the actual trailer, everything looked fantastic. I'm still not fully backing Ariana Grande. I still feel like, did you feel bad about her in this trailer?
I don't love Ariana Grande as far as her acting and things like that. Her singing, I'm sure, is fine. I mean, she has a little bit too much of her usual kind of flourishes on there. Yeah. I think as far as the character, though, I think she's going to play it just fine. I think as far as what Kristen Chenoweth did in the original show, who obviously, they're both too old to kind of play these roles now, but I think that she does a very good job of kind of emulating the same character. So I think she'll be fine. I don't think she'll be the standout. I think obviously Cynthia Erivo is going to be the one who really stands out in this movie. Looks great. The music I love in this. The trailer didn't blow me away. I'm kind of like, I think I'm kind of reserving judgment. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful, but cautiously optimistic kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still not sold on the whole breaking into two parts. I'm like, I don't know if I need two whole movies on this, but it is what it is.
Would you be upset? Because I know you get annoyed with this, and we literally just talked about this with Fall Guy. Would you be upset if Chenoweth and Menzel popped up in the movie as other characters? Chenoweth could be the leader of the fucking Lollipop Guild. She's short.
Well, here's my thing on all cameos like this, and anything where they bring in like the previous person, even like Lou Ferrigno in the Incredible Hulk, whatever you want to name. It's like, yeah, it's kind of a nice tip of the hat, but at the same time, it immediately takes you out of the movie. It immediately is like, this isn't that character. This is Kristen Chenoweth doing a cameo. You know what I mean?
But for people who aren't knowing of the Broadway show, they won't know that. Much like I didn't get that with Fall Guy, because we just talked about the Fall Guy. I didn't realize
if you didn't know who they were, the Fall Guy was just a dumb scene.
Yeah, because I didn't know that was the characters from the show. I mean, just go, those are really old cops. I was like, yeah. What's going on?
One's had really bad plastic surgery. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I was curious about whether you would be upset if Chenoweth and
I wouldn't be upset at it. I could see why they would do it, and I feel like it would take me out of the movie for a moment, but I wouldn't be upset about it.
I love both of them, and anytime they pop on camera as something that's not just like an animated voice, I'm more than happy to see them pop up and do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if anything for me, this trailer, it moved the needle for me because I had zero aspirations of wanting to see.
My needle still where it is, but it was already pretty high. So
yeah, yours was already yours. It was on your wasn't it a top 5 most anticipated?
It was
for
top 5 somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like for me, it wasn't even on my list. Now I'm like, okay, I actually do want to check this out now. So
and the fact that it's John M. Chu, who we both loved in The Heights, so that helps.
Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna get Lin-Manuel Miranda popping up as like the Cowardly Lion, dropping some sick ass beats though.
You never know.
You know what? If that fucking happens, I'm just gonna go, well, you know what? Fuck it. Let's have fun with it. My name is Cowardly Lion. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to movie news. Also, with a bunch of the movie news that dropped yesterday, they announced we're getting a sequel to Roadhouse. I think you and I both were kind of in the mindset that this was gonna happen. Whether Gyllenhaal was, did they say Gyllenhaal was attached or no?
Gyllenhaal is, yeah.
Is he? Which means
they have not said Doug Liman is, which I kind of would be surprised if he was. I don't think he's going to be.
Here's the question: is Conor McGregor attached? Because he's alive. He's alive. They left it open ended, or is it just going to be he's out there in the world, just doing anarchy shit?
Is he alive? I don't remember how it ended.
I remember he like ran through the hospital, like beat up.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Walked bare ass out the hospital.
Yeah.
It was like the post credit scene.
I will say I'm surprised by this because of the fact that they decided to dump it on streaming, which I guess they say that was the plan all along. But
did they say like over 80 million people watched it or some shit?
Yeah, but it got huge ratings, so they're going to do it again. I don't know if Doug Liman will be back. I enjoyed this one. I'm all for a second one. I'm surprised there's going to be a sequel, but I'm happy about it. I assume that this one will also then go straight to Prime, and at least they'll make it. But
that's the thing.
Super clear up front.
But that's the whole thing with Doug Liman is he was pissed at the end because it did go straight to streaming. Now, if you're saying 80+ million watched this, that's an $800 million film.
Well, Amazon will also be like, oh, well, this is huge for our streaming service. We can make another one that's huge for our streaming service. I don't think they're going to do one on streaming and then put the second one in theaters. If anything, I could see them doing like a week in theaters.
Do it like Air, where they
where it comes out and then like 2 weeks later they put it on stream. I could see them doing that, but they're not going to make it a full theatrical release. So there's that. The thing with Doug Liman, I like Doug Liman, but I mean, it basically got clarified by the studios, by Jake Gyllenhaal, by other people that he made the choice and then just didn't want to stick with it. They're like, hey, we'll give you $60 million to make this movie and put it in theaters, or we can give you $80 million but it'll go for you to make your movie, but it'll go straight to streaming. And he agreed to that. And then when it came time, he's like, oh, they should have put this in theaters. Like, you agreed to it, dude. Shut up.
Yeah. I mean, you and I agree it should have went to theaters because we think that it would actually make.
I would have loved to see it. That's why I just want a week or two so I can go see this new one.
But yeah, I mean, if that was the thing, hey, we'll give you 20 more million to put it on stream, which seems counterproductive. If anything,
well, because they don't have to do the whole marketing campaign where they spend $100 million to promote it.
But yeah, I mean, if anyone doesn't come back, it's Lyman. Which, I mean, okay, just get like Chad Stahelski to shoot it. Have him go, hey, Chad, do you want to take a break from John Wick and shoot Roadhouse with Gyllenhaal and maybe Conor McGregor? Because I would love to see Stahelski take that, or even David
Leitch.
Yeah, David Leitch take over for it.
Both of those people have like 6 movies lined up. They're not doing it, but
you'd be surprised how many times we think that, and then all of a sudden they pop up. Oh, here's another movie we're gonna do.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Staying on the sequel-ish kind of route, John Wick. We have the ballerina coming out next year. Supposed to be out this year. Wasn't it also supposed to be out last year too?
I don't think so. I think there was like just never a date, and they set it for this year, and then
we are now getting another spin-off John Wick film, with this time following Caine, which was Donnie Yen's character in the 4th film. I literally just watched John Wick Chapter 4 like 2-3 days ago, so it's very fresh in my mind. Because as soon as they announced this, I was like, wow, that's very weird that I just watched John Wick last night, and now they're announcing this. That's really weird. But yeah, I mean, Caine's character was very open-ended. The end of credit scene of John Wick Chapter 4 was literally leaving his life in limbo.
For a spin-off, yeah.
Yeah. But Brian's not as excited for this.
My problem is Donnie Yen's character was fine. I just feel like there's like 10 other characters in the John Wick universe I'd rather, spend time with and not him. I mean, like at times there was talk of like, a spin-off with Halle Berry's character at one point. Even the tracker from the John Wick 4, I'd love to see kind of more on him. Donnie Yen is fine. And I also think that kind of thing, I almost feel like that would be better off as like a, made for streaming 6-episode spin-off series kind of thing. And I'm not against it. I'll go see it. But there's a couple things. Is one, it won't be directed by Chad Stahelski or David Leitch. So it's like, I hope it doesn't end up like the Continental. But this, I feel like they'll at least be on hands-on in terms of producing it. Whereas Continental was kind of like, just Peacock says, we own the property, we're going to make this thing,
I still have not watched the Continental.
The Continental had its moments, but overall it was super disappointing, and it doesn't live anywhere near up to the level of John Wick. But even the Stahelski and Leitch are both kind of like, yeah, we pretend that doesn't exist. That isn't. We don't consider that part of the John Wick universe. So, I mean, I think this will be better quality than that. Although without one of them directing, I hope they do a good job with it. But then same thing with Ballerina, though. It's got a different director, but, they're on hands producers and things like that. So hopefully it'll be good.
And we got Ana de Armas. So,
yeah.
Next, Amazon announced that we are getting a Tomb Raider TV show written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge from Fleabag, Indiana Jones, and Dial of Destiny. Now, first time I read this, I thought it was Amazon's getting a Tomb Raider show starring Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I was like, oh, fuck no. And then I slowed down and read it. I was like, oh, okay. Because as a writer, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is actually really fucking good. I actually really love her writing. As a Lara Croft, no. I don't think they announced anything in terms of casting for Lara Croft yet, but no. I'm open to this. I mean, they tried to do the movie with Alicia Vikander, which I didn't hate any of the casting choices. It was just the story was bland as fuck.
That was even the Tomb Raider movies with Angelina Jolie. She made a perfect Lara Croft.
Yeah,
but the stories were bland.
Yeah, it was never the casting. It was always the plot and the story and the writing that just didn't work. So I'm hoping with Phoebe Waller-Bridge at the writing helm for this, it's going to add some rejuvenated light to it. Now, whether or not we're going to get kind of what we were trying to do in the last film, which was kind of the origin starting of Lara Croft as Tomb Raider, or we're going to be like Angelina Jolie and we're just going to jump into she's already, Lara Croft Tomb Raider at that point. We don't know. But I'm more... we actually have to wait for casting for this, but I can also see them going with someone who's kind of a relative unknown. So that way they don't have to worry about trying to have like a big name actress play her and then have to worry about trying to get her freed up scheduling wise and all that kind of stuff, which honestly I feel like if you get a young unknown and then they rock it, it's harder to get them back because they're going to have all these extra offers on the table.
We're going to lock them into a contract when you first sign them up.
Exactly.
Additional seasons. I mean, I would love it. It's not going to happen, but I would be fine with it if they had Alicia Vikander in the series, just written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. But that's
has she even done anything since Tomb Raider? I feel like I haven't seen her since Tomb Raider.
I just watched her this week in The Green Knight. Other than that, she's done a lot of like artsy, independent kind of movies. She hasn't done any like major films that I'm aware of. But yeah, as far as casting, I think they'll get someone who maybe is a complete unknown, but it like has been on she's a familiar face but not a star kind of thing. Like maybe been on some streaming TV shows or something.
If it was about 5 or 7 years earlier, I would just cast the woman who voiced Lara Croft in the video games because she was young, she's beautiful. I mean, she would have been fantastic for it. But now, probably, I wouldn't say she's not like she's too old. I just don't think she would be.
Well, we also don't know the story they're telling. If it's young,
yeah, I just don't know if she'd get in Lara Croft shape for this. She's been on Grey's Anatomy for like the past 7 years now, and she was also on was Californication was the voice actress who played Lara Croft. But yeah, if they kept with Vikander, I would actually be more excited because we love Alicia Vikander. We just don't get to see her enough anymore. Yeah. But yeah, I'm more excited for this than I thought I was going to be. Definitely more so than the first reaction I had to it when I thought it was Phoebe Waller-Bridge starring in Tomb Raider. Going to another show that got announced, and this one I actually am really fucking excited for. Noir. They announced that they're going to do a live action Spider-Man Noir with Nicolas Cage. I have no fucking idea how this is gonna go. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not, but god damn it, I am so fucking intrigued by this.
I have not read this. This is just predictions, and I think a lot of people online have seen saying the same thing. Is that I am almost 100% certain this is going to look like Sin City kind of feel to it.
Yeah,
which is perfect for it.
Yeah, me like that just jumps it through the roof.
It'll be live action, but it'll be kind of like a not surreal. Now I could be wrong.
If it is like Sin City, this is gonna be like my favorite new show.
I also feel like Nicolas Cage will be just the voice of him, or he might be there standing in during just standing and talking.
Like, he'll have to take his mask off eventually.
Will he though?
Maybe. I don't know Spider-Man Noir enough. I don't know him enough to know if he takes his mask off or not. Obviously, in Spider-Verse, he didn't, but
yeah, I mean, obviously, he's not going to do the action. Anytime there's any kind of action, I think even just running down the street, you're not going to have a 65-year-old man running down the street. You're going to have some kind of double doing
him. And Keanu are the two funniest runners in Hollywood. Anytime they have to run, it is the funniest thing. Just going back and rewatching John Wick, I was just like, stop making Keanu run. He's not a runner. He blew out both his knees during the replacement. So he can't run anymore.
But I feel like it's going to be almost like Mandalorian, where basically reports are that anytime he doesn't have the helmet off, almost always it's not Pedro Pascal.
I mean, I'm not upset with that.
Which is fine with that. It doesn't affect the character. I mean, he's doing the voice work and things like that. But I just think people are like, really, Nick Cage is going to do a Spider-Man film? Like, well, he's going to do the voice of a Spider-Man show.
Because when I first heard that, hey, we're doing a Spider-Man Noir live action series, I'm like, that's cool, but it's not going to be. And then I went, oh, with Nick Cage, yes, fuck yeah, yes, okay, sign me up. Because
anytime Nick Cage signs up for something that's not direct to streaming or this low budget indies, I get my attention because he's actually doing something interesting.
Like I said, we don't need him in the Spider-Man suit going. We don't need that. He can just be Nick Cage in LA noir type setting, and then once again, like I said, Mandalorian, put him in the suit. He's a tall guy who's Spider-Man. They've got to make sure they get the right build for him.
You know what I want to see next? I want to see the people who made RRR do the Indian Peter Parker.
I would be totally 1,000%.
I would love that.
Yeah. That would be great. If they basically eventually turn all the Spider-Verse characters into live action, and then they can have a live action into the Spider-Verse with Tom Holland, and then you bring in Miles, and that's how you bring them all in the MCU. I'm not going to be mad at that. That's actually a great fucking idea. It'd take forever to have it happen, but by the time
this is Sony, they'll do it in a week.
By the time they actually pull this all off, Tom Holland will be Peter B. Parker's age, where he looks old right now. It's just kind of like, Next, this one, if this was like 10, 15 years ago, I'd be super, super excited and happy. But now I'm kind of like, Netflix announced Happy Gilmore 2 is coming. I love Happy Gilmore. It is probably one of, if not my favorite Adam Sandler film. I don't know if I want to watch this. I would feel, let's put it this way. And I know he's got his contract on Netflix. I would feel stronger about this if it was going to theaters. It going straight to Netflix, I feel like this is just going to be one of his shitty Netflix films.
Has he had a good Netflix film?
Yes, he has. 3. He's had 3. He's had 2 really good ones.
Has he had a good Netflix comedy?
No. I think the closest one that I think I would allow as okay, but it's still shit, is Hubie Halloween. That one was like, you know what? He's actually trying. You know, it's kind of Little Nicky-ish, but I didn't hate that one. But no, his other 2, Hustle and was it Uncut Gems, and or his dramas are great.
Yeah, I know you like his dramas, but yeah, his comedies just feel like they're just like,
let's add all my buddies in.
Yeah, out of my buddies, just to get a paycheck from Netflix, the murder mystery and all those kind of things. And Happy Gilmore, I will say, is one of the movies of his I actually find funny. I don't love it the way some people do, but as far as the Adam Sandler starring movies, not just like supporting roles, because Airheads will always be the best movie. But as far as Adam Sandler starring films, that's probably one of the better ones. Do I need a sequel? Absolutely not. Do I need a sequel 20 years later? Definitely not. Do I need it as a Netflix movie? Hell no.
I don't even think it's 20 years later. It would be almost, by the time it comes out, it'll be almost 30, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost 30.
I was being conservative because it was what, 96?
96, 97. Like, it'll be almost 30 years. Now, granted, I mean, he's not old enough to be in the, like, senior PGA Tour, so Shooter McGavin is old enough to be at the senior PGA Tour, but I don't know about this. Like, I want to be happy.
I'm worried it's going to be like his son, and Adam Sandler's just like a supporting role or something.
He's the Chubbs of the movie at this point. I don't like it. I don't like it. I want to love it. I want to love this news, but it has me like at a 2 on like excitement and like a 12 on worried, and I'm just. I wish it was the other way around, but I just can't. Adam Sandler, you fucked up so much on Netflix. I can't buy into it. You're trying to hook me with something that I love, but I ain't gonna fall into the trap. You're not M. Night Shyamalan. You're not good enough. You're not good at making your trailers look good. Like, you can't hook me that way. The last two pieces of movie news. These are important for us. One, we've been talking about ad nauseum for. Every time we get a new report, we pretty much have talked about it on the show, and that is Jurassic World Part 4. There were rumors, which I think they're pretty much locked in now, that Scarlett Johansson is going to be...
I never heard that confirmed. I heard the rumors, and then when they did the story about this new casting news, they said he joined Scarlett Johansson. I'm like, was that ever confirmed?
Well, that and Chris Pratt even like said something to Scarlett. Like, hey, like, just so you know, it you feel really embarrassed when you try to act off something that's not really there. Just ride with it, have fun with it, do all that kind of stuff with it. So I think that was pretty much a fucking Scarlett's gonna be in this. I don't think Chris would have done that if she wasn't locked in. But they did announce 2 leads. Jonathan Bailey, I guess he's from Bridgerton. I don't know who that guy is. And then Manuel Garcia, is it Rulfo? I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over and over again. Rulfo. But I know him from Magnificent Seven. He was also on Netflix's, I think, Lincoln Lawyer. He's solid. I don't know if I would call him a lead, but you know what? I mean, it's Jurassic World. They just have to be able to fucking, be passable to get us to the dinosaurs.
Really, this is, for me, this whole Jurassic World thing is like, I hope it's good. again, cautiously optimistic about it.
Apparently, this was shooting in July.
Yeah, this is still not coming out next year, folks. Just mark
Yeah.
my word. Or if it is coming out next year, it'll be like moved to the end of the year. But I mean, they can cast whoever they want in it, and I'll be like, fine, whatever. But it's still got Gareth Edwards directing, which makes me super excited for it. So
It does, and like I said, the casting hasn't really wowed me. Like, I love Scarlett Johansson, but I don't want her on a Jurassic World movie. And these two new castings, okay, they're being called leads, but so it's like, is this like a Sam, Ellie, Jeff Goldblum situation, or Ian, where we got 3 leads? I don't know. It's supposed to be shot next month in Spain or somewhere like that, or Madrid, or I might be totally off. It starts with an M. I know that much, but
Madagascar, Montreal, I don't know.
Yeah, Massachusetts. But yeah, I'm not 100% confident in this yet. I probably won't be until I see the first trailer, and then the first trailer come out, and I'll be like, "Yay!" But you fucked me back to back already, and I'm already kind of iffy on you to begin with. But that's the latest news. Obviously, anything else Jurassic World or Scream 7, we're definitely going to be talking about it on the channel, because those seem to be the 2 movies that Brian and I are so focused on talking about at any given moment.
Oh, speaking of Scream 7, Radio Silence just signed on to direct a new movie with Andy Samberg, called
Horror?
The Robots Go Crazy.
Is it a horror or a comedy?
Nobody knows what this is about.
Because Andy Samberg's doing a drama later this year, and that was something that I would not have put on my bingo card.
No, it just showed up. It just showed up as like this project that's being sold. It's being put up for bids from studios or whatever it is. And that's all I said. It's starring him. It's written by some other guy who has a name I didn't recognize, and Radio Silence directing. And it's called I think it's The Robots Go Crazy, or Went Crazy, or something like that. So I'm guessing that it sounds like a sci-fi comedy. I don't think it'll be like a true like Andy Samberg comedy. I think it'll be more like a Ready or Not kind of comedy, where there's
like I said, Samberg's got a drama later this year. He could be trying to go a different path, or trying to branch himself out, which I like Andy Samberg. So if that's what he ends up doing, I'm all for it, as long as it works out for him.
I honestly love when whether it be Jim Carrey or even Adam Sandler, people like that, when they go from, or Steve Carell did the same thing, where they were known for comedy, and they stretch out to do some dramas, as long as they don't just completely abandon comedy, just get all serious now. I always hate that.
Yeah. Final piece of news. This brought me so much happiness and joy. I know Brian doesn't give a flying fuck about this, which is fine.
I wouldn't go that far.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure they announced this like the day Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes came out. Andy Serkis is coming back to direct and reprise his role as one of my favorite characters in movie history, Smeagol / Gollum, in at least working title wise, Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum. I didn't know I needed another trip down memory lane with Gollum, but as soon as I read that he was directing and reprising his role as Gollum, I immediately got so fucking excited. I mean, he's my boy. He's my boy. And literally, right after Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes comes out, where I just went back and rewatched the entire Planet of the Apes trilogy with him as Caesar. I mean, you couldn't have dropped this news at a more perfect time for me, except for maybe when Rings of Power came out. But yeah, I don't know how this movie is going to be. I know Andy Serkis as a director is kind of but he's back as Smeagol. I could not be any more happy, any more excited for this film. I can't wait to see. I mean, this movie's probably still 3 years out. Let's be real here.
Probably.
And I think Peter Jackson even said he was coming back to produce this.
So everybody, Peter Jackson, his wife, Fran, whatever, Philippa. There's just basically the whole creative team, the main players behind Lord of the Rings, are helping produce this. It's just Peter Jackson's not directing it,
which makes me even feel more confident in it, because Peter Jackson is not going to allow Andy Serkis to direct a shitty Lord of the Rings movie. He's going to be there to help him, maybe give him some insight on hey, maybe try doing it this way. This is still your movie, but this is what I would do if I was doing Lord of the Rings, and I'm fucking Peter Jackson.
Well, I'm sure Andy's going to go to him and be like, hey, how would you, do this?
Exactly. But just seeing Andy back as Smeagol, in an actual movie like that, dude. I'm so fucking stoked.
Well, that's just it. We don't know anything about the plot of this movie. We have just.
I'm assuming it's a prequel, but it's a prequel, obviously, because I'm assuming this is all leading up to the orcs and everyone hunting Gollum, which we see him get. He's caught and tortured in Fellowship because he's the one who tells them, Shire Baggins. So I'm assuming this is basically a straight up prequel leading right into Fellowship, is what I would think it is.
I would assume so, but then the question I have is, it's called The Hunt for Gollum. How much of it will Gollum be in it, or how much of it is like whatever group of characters they have in this Hunt for Gollum kind of thing?
Well, if it's going to be a new trilogy, then what it'll be is that Gollum will barely be in the first film, and then he'll be in all of the second film. And then the third film, he'll kind of be sprinkled in and out, just like the original trilogy. Either way, Andy Serkis is back as Smeagol. That's all I care about.
I'm looking forward to this mainly because of Andy Serkis, obviously, and the fact that Peter Jackson's fully involved in this thing as well. I guess at this point, I'm just like, we kind of went so long without Lord of the Rings, and then now all of a sudden, like, here's 12 things. Well, okay, 3, but just like you got the War of the Rohirrim animated film coming out this fall, December, I think it is. That's obvious, and also supposed to have its first look trailer early next month or mid next month. There's some animation convention where they said they're going to unveil it. Then you got the Rings of Power coming back, and then this. It's like, you spread it out a little bit. Now, again, like you said, this movie is a couple years away. So
yeah, and I think, isn't Ring of Power supposed to be like 5 seasons?
I think that was the original plan. We'll see if they make it that far, if they're getting their return on investment. See.
Yeah, because there's a lot of money going into these episodes.
Yeah.
Next, reviews. I guess we should have probably kept Kingdom till this point, but oh well. We got our main story, but before that, just because I brought it up on previous episodes, I was able to finally watch, and I know Brian hasn't watched a single second of this, so I'm going to breeze through this quickly. I finally got to check out Knuckles on Paramount Plus. Sonic the Hedgehog movies, I think they're solid. I think the second one went a little too kiddie with it, but I actually liked the voice casting and the performances in it. When I heard that Knuckles was getting his own TV show with Idris Elba returning to play Knuckles in this, I think 6 episodes. Plus Adam, is it Adam Pally? I love that actor from Happy Endings. He was obviously in the first 2 films as well as kind of like a side character. Knowing that was going to be kind of the focal point of the story, I was very intrigued to check it out. So I watched all 6 episodes. If you're a fan of the Sonic films, and when I mean a fan, I mean actually really enjoy every aspect of the Sonic movies, then I would say definitely check out Knuckles. I think Idris Elba's great in the film, but much like Sonic 2, it really tends to go a little too childish at points. There's literally one episode that is so like it's near the end too. It's like there's like a third to last episode. I almost wanted to shut it off or just fast forward to the end of the episode because it was so like cringy bad that I'm guessing like, oh yeah, anyone under the age of 10 is probably going to find this funny. I think this is fucking stupid. But Adam Pally, he's a team player. He's putting on the wackiest performance possible, and before I get too mad, I'm like, it's Adam. I like Adam. He's going out there and he's doing exactly what he's told to do, and he's fucking doing it to the 10th, like 100%. So I can't be mad at him. But oh my god, we could probably have some better choices for doing this. There's this weird subplot with a headhunter or bounty hunter, not headhunter, bounty hunter that I was just kind of like, is this like a really close friend of the show? And they really just wanted to get him on because his performances aren't that good, and he eats up too much screen time at one point. Sonic and Tails are in the first episode, as well as James Marsden's wife. I'm blanking on her name.
I don't remember. I only ever saw the first one. I don't remember it very well.
They're in the first episode, and then it's kind of like a road trip or kind of thing with Adam Pally and Knuckles. Tika Sumpter? Is that her name?
Tika Sumpter is in Sonic, so I'm assuming that's it.
Yeah, damn it. I'm pulling names out of my ass today. I'm doing good. Why am I not doing trivia? But yeah.
Now, would you say this is now? Do you feel like it's just is maybe it's clearly aimed for a more kid audience,
It is because while watching Paramount Plus, because I have the ads still. Every ad was directed towards kids. It was all Nickelodeon and toys and
Because the
stuff.
movies felt like they were definitely, I mean, they were kids' movies, but they were definitely kind of appealing to people who grew up with it, who are adults now.
There,
But the way you
there
describe this one
are
sounds like it's more geared towards kids, especially
there's
when you talk
definitely
about like Adam Pally and, you know, he's doing his best, but it's like, you know, kind of
there is definitely a
juvenile
masturbation joke
humor.
in there. There's 1,000% a masturbation joke, and even I was like, wow, okay, we're really going there. I'll tell you what it is off after the episode because I'm not gonna spoil it for people. But there's literally a scene where I'm like, we're really doing that joke. All right. There's a part where Adam Pally goes to his mom's house and his sister. I can't stand that actress. She's annoying as fuck, and she's incredibly annoying in the film or in the show. But what I do like is that, like, at the very end, they go full Kingpin, where it's a bowling tournament. And the Bill Murray of this is Carrie Elways, and I'm like, okay, I didn't know I was gonna get this, so I'm happy with what I'm seeing here on that. So I would say it's average. It's about average. It's not something I would probably go back and rewatch. Like I said, it's 6 episodes, so it takes you probably about 2.5, 3 hours to get through because of commercials. Unless you're paying extra for no ads, you'll probably get through it a hell of a lot faster than I did. That was honestly probably the thing. Oh, also, I really enjoy the song, but they made me hate the song by the end of it. I Am a Warrior. That is the theme song of Knuckles, and they play it like 8 fucking times during the show. By the time it came on, I was like, oh, I'm so fucking tired of hearing this goddamn song. But yeah, it's and it literally ends the show with that song, and I'm so annoyed with it. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's not something I would recommend for like you to check out. But for Sonic fans, I'd say it's worth checking out. It doesn't really, I don't think it really moves. Like, I don't think you need to see this before Sonic 3 comes out because I don't think it did anything to really push story. There's no like Jim Carrey, Robotnik in it. There is a bad guy, but I think they pretty much the Hound. The Hound is actually the main bad guy in this from Game of Thrones. But even then, he has like 3 scenes in the entire show. Like, he's got the big battle scene at the end, and he's got like 2 scenes, like I think like in the 2nd episode and like the 5th episode, and then you don't see him until the final battle. And it's like, wow, for a main bad guy, you really didn't utilize him to your effectiveness. Mainly because there's like 2 sub bad guys that are kind of doing the most of the work. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But moving on to our main, or do you got something to say?
No, I was just trying to think about the only other thing I watched part of this week was the movie Babes. Got to see
Yeah, you got to see Babes. I remember
one of AMC's secret screenings where it costs $5 if you don't have A-list. You show up, you don't know what movie it is till it starts. In theory, but I don't live on the East Coast where it starts an hour earlier, so I find out from them what it is ahead of time. I thought, you know what, I get to see it basically for free. I'll go check it out. It's got a couple people in it I sometimes like, Alana Glazer from Broad City, things like that. I'm like, I'll check it out. And it's been getting rave reviews supposedly. I sat in this movie for 40 minutes hoping it would get better, and finally walked out and went into watch Fall Guy again instead. It's basically a pregnancy, an R-rated pregnancy comedy is what it's trying to be. Yeah. And I feel like that people are just like thinking it's so hilarious just on the whole level of, oh, it's funny because it's true kind of thing, because the actual jokes are not funny, and they were just obnoxious. They were trying so hard, especially the 2 main actors. They're trying so hard to be funny, and everything is falling flat, and it just got to be where it's like cringy and annoying, and I finally walked out. I didn't see the whole movie, so I don't give it a rating on my Letterboxd because I won't judge a movie like that if I haven't watched the whole thing. But I will say I hated what I saw.
Will you go back and watch the rest of it?
I will not go back and watch the rest of
this. So you're never going to rate it.
Short of you watching it and saying, you know what, that first 40 minutes was awful, but it got so much funnier in the second half, then maybe I'd check it out. But
that, or I'll say that 40 minutes wasn't bad. You'd be like, we're no longer shooting the show together.
Like, even if somebody said, hey, this movie is great, I'd be like, did you like the first 40 minutes? Or did you think the whole thing was great? Because if you thought the whole thing was great, then I know I don't agree with you. Anyway, that's the only new thing I watched this week. Really.
All right. Going to our main story, X-Men 97 finished its very first season yesterday. This has been a season that Brian and I went in with tempered excitement, but tempered expectations because we just didn't know what to expect. And I think, what was it, by the first 10 minutes of episode 1, you and I were like, yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it didn't have its episodes. It had 2 episodes really that were the rest of them were pretty flawless. But this last 3 episodes, which was the true, what was it called? Not truth of consequences, or it's got an actual title.
Oh my gosh.
I'll look it up. I literally have it at my disposal. Tolerance of extinction. Yeah, tolerance was the word I was looking for. Tolerance of extinction. Go with you. Let's go with you. What were your thoughts on the last 3 episodes? Where we ended up? Where we're going into season 2? Where were you at?
Well, I thought the last 3 episodes were pretty damn epic. I'd already liked kind of where the show was going. And on the one hand, you kind of feel like they're bringing up all these storylines and burning through them so fast because, there's characters that were 10 episode arcs in the comics that they, do away with in 1 episode or 2 episodes of a show. But at the same time, it's like there's so much I want to see on X-Men that I'm almost okay with that because then they can move on to the other stories.
Because we might not know if we ever get any more stories.
Yeah. And they've been mixing stories, even in these episodes, they're kind of mixing different comic stories together, and the way this one ends, which we'll talk about, is kind of going into 3 different stories as well. But I mean, it's one of those shows. It's it's an animated show, so you tend to think about it as maybe not as elaborate, not as dramatic, not as deep. But really, I mean, I love where they're going with the characters. I thought they did a great job and there's so many different storylines going on at the same time. You have the thing with, Nathan and Jean and Cable. I mean, Nathan being Cable and Scott, their whole relationship and how he comes back and he felt abandoned by his parents. And by the end of the show, obviously kind of have that reconciliation. They kind of have that moment to kind of forgiveness and goodbye and things like that. So I like where they kind of, were able to take that storyline. The Storm thing where she lost her powers, got him back. I felt like they kind of glossed over that, and now she's just Storm again. So that one, but then we didn't want to spend any more time on Life Death either.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. It does kind of take away from the stakes, where every time somebody loses their powers, okay, I got him back now.
I don't know. We haven't gotten Gambit back.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But and then obviously the Magneto Professor X thing, which is kind of the center of the whole thing, with the whole, Magneto is kind of finally said, fine, fuck you, humanity, I'll do my thing. But then obviously, he got kind of dispatched by Professor X, and then Professor X tries to
fix him,
bring reason to him.
Yeah.
And for the first time, you see Professor X actually attack somebody, essentially with his psychic powers, because he had to do what he had to do, which is kind of given into Magneto's kind of thing of his Machiavellian and justifies the means thing, which again will play into another storyline. So I'm doing a lot of teasing here. But overall, I love where it went. I love that they, however briefly, kind of jumped into a whole nother storyline where Magneto finally gets fed up with Wolverine, just tears all the adamantium out of his pores. That one is still left as a cliffhanger. But that is another great moment, another classic moment. And I love how whenever they do something like this, one of the major moments from the comic books, the on-screen image is exactly like the actual comic panel. If you see comparisons of some of these things, it's this, the pose of them, the actual, it's just, I love the way that they clearly have a love for the comics, and this isn't just a cash-in kind of thing. But I've talked for a minute. What are your thoughts?
This is coming from someone who loves X-Men, but I'm not a big comic book reader, so my love for X-Men came from the animated series, so I didn't know who Bastion was. Much like the
Bastion actually came in kind of as I was actually getting out of comics, so I was actually going into this essentially not knowing much more than you.
I thought it was going to be a twist, because I was like, is Bastion like a multiverse version of Magneto? Because he kind of looks a little like Magneto with short hair. I was like, but no, he's a separate character. But I didn't really know anything about Bastion. So that was definitely an intriguing new villain. Obviously, we get Mr. Sinister and stuff like that, which I loved where we got to that point. Morph has been the MVP of this whole goddamn season. Morph is fucking great. And Morph is the best way to go, hey, we can bring in all these other MCU like fans for brief moments, and it'll be like, oh, well, it's Morph, so it's fine. Like when he morphs into Hulk and stuff, and it's
Mr.
like
Fantastic. Yeah.
yes, Mr. Fantastic, or even other aspects throughout the rest of the show where it's like, oh, Hulk's on here. Like, no, it's not. It's Morph. It's like, before you guys get excited, it's Morph.
But at the same time, I think he obviously brings some comic relief at times.
Oh yeah.
But then like in the scene where like he turns to Jean to help comfort Logan, I thought that was a great scene with him too.
And that's the thing too, is that the people are looking at this two different ways. One, he's doing it to try to fight, try to get Wolverine to fight because of Jean. Because even Cyclops makes a line like, don't you leave her. It's like, are you accepting that Jean's with Logan? Like, because he makes that line, he's like, don't you fail her by leaving.
Well, I think it's because he knows that Jean has some sort of feelings for Wolverine, and
I don't think he knows. Does Scott know that Jean and Logan kissed? Because I don't think he does.
I don't know. I also got confused when there was Jean versus Madeline, who was who at which time. So
because that I don't think he knows about that. So that was real weird. It was like, oh, is he accepting that Jean's with Logan? Because I don't think that was ever concreted. But that moment, obviously, with because like I said, one of the things that pissed a lot of people off, which it totally makes fucking sense. So I don't understand why people are getting pissed, is that Morph is both male.
Genderless, yeah,
he's genderless. So a lot of people took it as like when he was doing the Jean thing, half people were like, oh, he's doing that to try to motivate Logan to stay alive. But also it's like that's his way of like maybe confessing his love to Logan, because Morph and Logan are, like I said, he knows exactly how to talk to Logan. He knows how to treat Logan. He knows how to motivate Logan. It was the end of the first episode when Logan was upset, he knew to turn into Sabretooth. Like he knows Logan. And much like with Mystique and stuff like that, he can kind of be whatever Logan needs. And he probably does love Logan to a point. So you could have looked at that as a way of him being able to tell Logan that he loves him without making it weird by making it be Jean, and Logan being able to accept that. You could look at it that way. I'm cool either way because I just fucking love Morph so much. I love when Morph said Morph Smash when he was as the Hulk instead of saying Hulk Smash. Morph to me has been like my favorite character of the entire series, which is hard to say because obviously I'm diehard Wolverine. Which Wolverine, I mean, he's not dead, but we didn't see him at the end.
I mean, the whole show has treated him like Wolverine should be, where he's a supporting character. Now he's had times where he's been at the forefront of a storyline, but he's always been just a team member. This is they're kind of going back to the days before it became Wolverine and the X-Men, before the movies made it Wolverine and the X-Men too. And it's like he's just one member of the team instead of, and I love that it's not just the Wolverine show.
Well, yeah, because I mean he was collectively out the whole final episode. He laid on a bed the whole episode. I mean, granted, dude got his fucking adamantium ripped out of him. Like he ain't getting back up right away. But I mean, we got to have his awesome, like, Wolverine mode where he went full on rage against Berserker mode where he went off on all the now that was the thing where I was like, so are they still human or are they dead? Because it's like if not, he's straight up just like,
well, like all these humans that didn't know that they were part Sentinel or whatever, and it's like, and even at the end when Professor X is kind of freeing them, it's like these people didn't choose to be, part of this. And it's like, yeah, they're still half robot apparently.
So it's like, but some of this is like, is it like, like a zombie thing where it's like, oh, they've officially turned, they're dead? Or is it like, I know you don't watch the show, but it's like Supernatural when they get possessed by a demon. It's like, as long as you don't injure them like thoroughly, like if you get the demon out of them, they're fine. But if you throw them off a building, once the demon leaves them, yeah, they're going to die because their body's crushed. It's the demon that's holding them.
Yeah, you're still damaging their body, whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, when Wolverine's doing this, like, whoa, Wolverine, are they still human? Like, are you shredding these people apart, or are they done?
I think that they look at them like zombies. It's like, okay, they used to be human, but now they're just the enemy, and you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, because I mean, you had this awesome Berserker mode with him, and then Nightcrawler using the swords, and then kind of in the back-to-back.
I love when Nightcrawler got out the swords.
That's so fucking good. Once again, Wolverine with the great lines when Trish attacked Beast, and Wolverine's like, we gotta talk about Hank, about his line of women, stuff like that. So we got to have the Wolverine badass scene when he attacked Magneto. Like, I even for a second there thought, did he fucking just kill Magneto? Of course he didn't, because it's fucking Magneto. Which then Magneto fights back like 10,000-fold by ripping out the adamantium. Still not super crazy about Jubilee or Sunspot. Jubilee does get to have a kick-ass moment, but even then, I kind of didn't buy it. When she like fought Bastion, it was like, yeah, I don't buy Jubilee's powers. Like, she really feels like the most.
Well, that's like he even says, "We're gonna beat me with fireworks." I'm like, that's how I feel about it. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you're gonna beat me with the 4th of July, and it's like, yeah, because your powers are kind of like for party favors. It doesn't. I don't ever feel like I ever got a real oomph that your powers actually ever do any damage. You know, but I mean, on animation, it's hard to kind of tell that. Now, I feel like this year they've done a good job of showing the damage of everyone's powers, like Gambit's cards with his blasts, and of course Cyclops. But Jubilee, it's just always kind of felt like sparklers to me, and I've never been a big fan of Jubilee. Now, Rogue has had her badass moments this season. I love Rogue. I think she was great. Storm, like you said, Storm. I feel like everyone kind of was like, "Hey, you got powers," and we're on to something else.
yeah, Storm like almost never comes into play anymore. It's like you see her flying around, but I haven't seen her like using her powers much. Things like that.
You had that one moment where Jean saw her back and went row row, and then I was like, "I'm so happy you're back." And now we got to focus on Xavier, because Xavier's here. So I was like, "Hey,
well,
Storm."
obviously, I mean, the focus on Rogue makes sense because it's like she has the two things of one, like her man just got killed, and two, she's got this unresolved feelings, whatever you want to call them, for Magneto, who is now the big enemy. So it's like there's going to be a lot of focus on her, which makes sense, I guess.
But yeah, Storm just always gets the short side of it. Storm to me in the animated series feels like Cyclops in the live action series. Should be bigger, but every time there's a point for her to be bigger, something else more important is going on, and you need to kind of take the back seat, which Storm's not going to complain about. Action scene wise, everything looks great. I think where we got to at the end of the series was fantastic. Left it in a great cliffhanger. I know when I saw what was going on at the end and I saw who it was, I went, oh shit, because I know exactly where it's going, just like Brian knows exactly where it's going. Even though they kind of gave away, it's almost like they almost had to show the future thing so people understood who that person was. It's like, just in case you guys didn't figure it out, that's Apocalypse. You know. But yeah, what I was saying is, like, when they all get separated, I didn't see Wolverine as part of them. Granted he's knocked out, but I didn't see where Wolverine ended up.
Well, Wolverine is just still there in the present, as far as we know.
He was on the ship. He went with where everyone else was. He was on the ship on a table, because he's on when we go to that part with Ford talking to Bishop. He's one of the presumed missing dead, or missing presumed dead. He's on the
ship, by the way.
Yes, he's on the X-Jet, knocked out. So yeah, because I think almost all of them that were in that whole like gold team, blue team, which I love that they had separate teams. And they also went back to the old school uniforms with Wolverine in the brown and yellow, and Cyclops with the full cap. But yeah, like I didn't see Logan at the end, so I was like, where the fuck's Logan? I know he's still fucked up, but is he in Egypt or is he in the other place? Which I can't remember what that is.
Wherever they sent him, he's laying in the sand somewhere. So.
I'm waiting to refuel. But yeah, I loved where they went with this. I hope it's back sooner than later. I hope it's not like a 2 years from now kind of thing.
I think it'll be. Well, no, I know season 2 was already written and in production before season 1 even aired. So I think you're going to see this one probably not this year, but I think you'll see it early next year again.
Okay.
And then season 3 had already been greenlit, so I assume by the time season 2 airs, I'll be working on season 3. So I think they're being smart about this and not taking these gaps that the live action shows seem to need to take.
Well, don't do what you do with most animated shows. Is like they're like, oh, kids watch it. It's not important. It's like, no, kids aren't watching this. I'm sorry, kids. 90% of the kids probably watching X-Men are probably going to be bored, especially today's kids. Us, when we were younger, we were able to watch these and understand what was going on and not be bored by today's standards. they're probably fucking on their laptop going, I don't care about all this conversation. Just let me know when the action's back on. So it's like, because like that was always my big problem when they did the turtle shows, is that they'll be like, oh, here's 2 new episodes, and then 3 months will go by. Oh, here's a new episode. Then another 3 months go by. Here's 3 new episodes. And it's like, oh, it's kids. They don't fucking care. And it's like, well, what about the non-kids who are watching this shit? Like, I don't want 6 shows spread out through 8 months. Invincible did the same fucking thing where it's like, oh, here's the first 4 episodes. We'll be back in 3 months with the rest.
Well, it's almost like going back to the old days of just like broadcast television, where it's like, okay, we'll have 3 new episodes and we'll have 2 weeks of reruns, and we'll have a few new episodes, then another 4 weeks of reruns. Then we'll come back.
But then you forget about it.
More.
Then you forget about it, and then that's how the shows die. Is because it's like, well, I never know.
Well, especially now that we're not talking about broadcast era anymore. When you could do that nowadays, as soon as you're not airing new episodes, there's so much other content out there. We'll move on to something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So hopefully they just shoot the whole season and do like what they did this year, and they just keep it going instead of just like, oh, we gotta get something out. We'll do the first 3 episodes, and we'll do part 1, part 2, and part 3. It's like, no.
Disney's never done that before. I don't see him doing it now with this one. But I'm really excited to see where this is going. Because like I said, there's so many unresolved storylines. You have the Logan thing where his adamantium's out, and you got to see where that's going to go. You have half the team is now in the future, where they have young Nathan has shown up there.
Yeah,
that one goes to the Ascani storyline. You have the other half that went back to the 3000 BC, where you have young Apocalypse, basically. I forgot his name. It's the Egyptian.
Yeah,
name.
don't even try.
Or whatever it is. Yeah, him. Where I love how the X-Men just showed up and like kicked everybody's ass, not actually knowing who's the good guys and the bad guys. And so it's like, I don't.
And then Bean looks up, going, "Oh shit, we fucked up." I want to ask this.
It's like that episode of the scene in Peacemaker where they killed everybody going into the camp, and they're like, "Oh shit, those are the good guys."
My bad. These are the rebels. and then Killer Shark coughs up a finger.
And then of course you see Apocalypse in present day, which of course he picks up the playing card and says something about death, and that it basically indicates that, like kind of expected, is because they're not going to kill off Gambit permanently because he's one of those popular characters in X-Men and in the X-Men comics. Now again, they've taken diversions from it. But and one of the rises of Apocalypse, he brings up his 4 horsemen and brings back Gambit as Death. So there you go.
Oh, okay. Well, because when I saw like them back, I'm like, oh, are they going to be the 4 horsemen? Because there's more than 4 there.
No, because Gambit in the comics he's not dead when it happens, but he agrees to Apocalypse makes him some offer where he can get something. If I'm not going to go into details, but if he agrees to be one of his horsemen, and he basically does it planning to be a double agent. He's like, I'm going to go in and from the inside, I'm going to find out his plan and try and help defeat him from the inside. But then Apocalypse control becomes too much, where he actually becomes a full horseman of death and starts, working for him.
Let me ask you
this. On from there. But I'm just saying there's so many different storylines going on. So
let me ask you this, because I didn't know who these superheroes were. Now, granted, they showed a lot of superheroes in the final.
Oh, the cameos! So many cameos.
Yes, there's so many cameos. You got Cap and Iron Man. You got Psylocke. You got Daredevil.
Psylocke was with Alpha Flight, which is basically Canadian X-Men, essentially.
What's that?
Psylocke was with Alpha Flight, which is basically a Canadian version of X-Men.
Who I was going to ask about.
Cloak and Dagger. Was
that who was with Daredevil?
Yeah, the one guy in the black cloak and the girl in the white.
Okay, that was Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger.
Okay, because I was like, who the fuck? I was like, is this like Jessica Jones and somebody? Like, who the fuck are these people? I did not watch Cloak and Dagger when it was on. What was it?
Well, that was like an ABC Family or something.
Yeah, ABC Family. I didn't watch that.
Freeform, yeah. But they were obviously in the comics before that. But the only TV version, the only live action version, was in that.
Because I wanted to know who they were, and I was like, I don't know who the fuck they are. I'll ask Brian. Brian will know. But I got super super excited when I saw Omega Red, because I fucking love Omega Red. When he popped up, I think it was the episode prior, and I was like, oh, because one of my favorite anime from the original series, obviously everything's Sabretooth, because Sabretooth is my favorite villain. But Omega Red is like, I love when him and Wolverine go at it. Yeah. So I got so excited when I saw Omega Red. but yeah,
it's like one of those things where they flash these people and like, yes, it's just cameos to make the fans go, ooh, I saw that person. But at the same time, it says, hey,
we can go here
in the world, so we could go that way.
Yeah. We saw Spider-Man. Spider-Man's here. We can do this shit if we want to.
And they did. I mean, in the original run of the series, Captain America and them showed up in like substantial roles. So
yeah, so it basically broadens the whole world out there. So it's I don't care if it's a little cameo. It just shows that it's possible. We might not get it, but you never know. It could just be Morph. But I'm not against that because Morph at least is gonna make it fun. But yeah, fantastic first season.
yeah.
Could not. I mean, obviously, like I said, the life and death thing was meh, but it had to be done storyline wise. I think they did it the best way they could by saying like, look, we realize people are going to want to watch a whole episode of this, so let's split it up with something else. The placement of it, not the greatest. Like I said, we talked about that with like Stranger Things, like episode 8, season 2, where it's like you put it right after the fucking like destruction of Genosha. Like we don't fucking want to watch this episode. Like, god damn it, you know. But yeah, it was fantastic. Anything else you'd like to add before we end this?
No, just that. I mean, going into this, I thought it'd be, a fun throwaway animated show they're making to keep us thinking about X-Men until like the movies come out. But now it's probably my favorite Disney Plus Marvel thing. Yeah.
Oh, that no question.
Easily, yeah. I was just making sure I wasn't forgetting something, but no.
Like there are a lot of MCU like Marvel stuff that I love, but I mean, yeah, easily. This is like, if not number one, it's like tied for first with something that I'm not going to give away because we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, remember to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, Brian, Michaels, and myself will be back as we're going to be doing our MCU show. Do you want to go ahead and go into a little bit of what that show is going to be about?
Yeah, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to basically go through a quick rating of all of the MCU movies, and then separately the MCU official TV shows, not the ABC stuff, not the Netflix stuff, just the MCU.
Basically, WandaVision and
and live action only. So we're not doing What If, we're not doing X-Men, because they aren't really the same universe. But we're going to do a quick ranking of how each of us sees those. That'll be interesting, although I think we already know each other's thoughts for the most part. And then we're going to discuss the state of the MCU, kind of where they've been recently, where it is going in the future, where we think they need to go with it, any changes that are being made versus changes they should make. Just kind of, as we've kind of had this lull for the longest time in MCU, before Deadpool being the only new movie coming out this year, kind of just to discuss where they're at. And I think even Marvel has kind of acknowledged, okay, we need to make some changes. They've even announced we're making some changes, and we're going to kind of discuss that.
Yeah. So that'll be out here very soon as well. Movies coming out this week. I think basically we have Strangers Chapter 1 and If. I don't know if I'm going to be checking any of them out this weekend, but whenever I do, we will talk about it either on this show here or on an individual review if they're worth talking about. But next week, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. First reviews are popping out, and they are incredibly positive. So hopefully, when Brian and I both go see it, it matches that expectation. We'll find out, but we'll definitely be having probably a joint review for that one. If we don't, it's because Brian didn't like it as much, or Brian doesn't have anything to say.
More importantly, Sean's favorite movie of the year, Garfield, will be coming out as well. So.
Hey, I've heard nothing but positive so far. So that, if anything, that's gonna be the thing. Brian's gonna be pissed off by the end of the year because Dune did so well, and Garfield is one of the biggest movies of the summer. And then I'll be mad because Despicable Me 4 will be the other one. But yeah. Anyway, we got plenty of stuff coming down on the channel. Hope you guys check it out. Jordan and myself will be back here sometime here soon for Wrestling Crusaders chat about. Obviously, next week we got 2 pay-per-views. We got Double or Nothing for AEW and King and Queen of the Ring for WWE. So we will definitely be back here in the next week or so to discuss those shows, as well as let you guys know how the fantasy league is going. It's been a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. So we'll find out on that. But until next time, I'm Sean Wasserkrug. That is Brian Michaels. We are the Movie Crusaders. In case we don't see you, go watch some movies and go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.